welcome back to another edition of the John Wayne Search Protector podcast, 60/40 production. I'm Eric Halsey.
I'm Alex Midway, and I'm definitely going to make sure not to edit that out this time around. And we love you people, and especially all the engagement on YouTube. And if you don't check out the shorts on YouTube, another one got a whole lot of engagement. It's the one about giving Iran a nuclear weapon. Some people don't seem to understand that we are satire.
Well, I don't know, man. I'm still thinking, I'm like, who cares? Why don't we just all have nukes?
So, I mean, it makes sense. But we even have like a Jesus thumper on here. It's Christianity Without Shortcuts says, comparing guns to nuclear weapons and calling Iran a, quote, good country, end of quote, shows how unhinged these people are. Buddy, that's the least unhinged thing we usually say on this podcast.
Yeah, no, you should stick around to the end when I start getting tired and stop remembering that we're not supposed to swear or mention that country.
When we start talking about little hats, that's when you really want to see the unhinged stuff. It's like, what's it called? The McDonald's coffee cup thing was huge. Another one is, as far as the great replacement theory, was a whole lot of back and forth. But we do always love it. I try to answer as many as I can. And yeah, it's the people that make this show work.
It's funny. I'm not big on these movements that you seem to be real keen on. But I saw a couple weeks back, I'm guessing it was probably beginning of Pride. You know that giant turd, Jake Lang?
Yeah.
Yeah. He ended up in Washington, D.C. at Nats Stadium, and they had him and I guess a handful of the rest of the virgins he hangs out with had this like enormous 60-foot banner that they hung from whatever their cheap seats were. That was like the great replacement, or keep America white, great replacement theory, something like that. But it had that. So I actually did look into the replacement theory, and I don't know. It sounds like a people terrified of change.
Yeah, it's, again, if some dude who hops a fence, doesn't know any English, doesn't have any skills, and came here to pick strawberries, comes over and steals your housewife and job, like, I blame you, man.
Yeah, no, you can't be born on third and constantly complain about, nobody gives you the credit you deserve. Because, again, if this is your main fear, not a man. You are useless.
I do always love that people who are here now, they're screaming about, it's like, we got to keep America for Americans. Like, cool. Well, we go back about 250 years, see if we can apply that policy, because we are a nation of ethnic immigrants. Like, you weren't originally here.
Yeah, no, there was like all land, there was already somebody there, and just someone came along and spread a disease and took it. That's fine. That's fine. I get it. But what I don't love is, and I just saw something about, I want to say it was Laura Ingraham, or one of those hatchet-faced dip S's over on the right side, had something where they were like, birthright citizen. If you don't have all 4 grandparents born here, you're not a citizen. To which immediately got replied, and I was like, well, that means your president nor none of his kids can be here either. I don't know, man. I don't get it. Why be afraid?
We'll get into that one a little bit more. It's one of the topics as far as Trump's push about the birthright citizenship. But yeah, it's funny for me to see. It's like when you have Spanish friends or Latin friends, and they're also now screaming like, yeah, we don't want those wetbacks here. I'm like, what the hell? You're just first generation, my guy. Like, you can't say that. He's like, those goddamn no good Browns. Like, what the?
Like, oh, sweetheart, he thinks they're going to accept him. You're not, because that's how racism works. We can agree, but you're still less than. So,
Uncle Ruckus your way into the Trump, like, MAGA movement. Like, they're not going to view you the same way. Just ask, what was it, Byron Donald down in Georgia, I believe?
Nope, not gonna say that one, but that guy irritates me so badly. You're like, it's just dying to be Caucasian, and they're never ever there's no way he can believe the words that come out of his mouth. It's impossible.
Hey, like, relax, guys, I'm one of the good ones. And we meant to talk about it, but a while back, and he was having some campaign thing, and he was talking about education. And I believe it was education that was misspelled, or it was another word on there on the poster, but it was education based. and he couldn't spell on it. Be like, at least have someone proofread the actual thing you're going to put up when you're talking about, I don't know, spelling.
Yeah, it was bad. I want to say it was like a second D or something where it was like, come on. Like but none of you have spell check. I couldn't tell you how to turn spell check off.
Like, every time I type a bunch of things, it's like Google just underlines a whole thing in blue. I'm like, come on, man, I'm not doing that. Like, that looks fine in my mind.
Yeah, I've gotten a handful of your drunk texts before. It's fun when you have to read what you have to think about it like, this is what AI is thinking he's saying, but I know my guy, and this is probably what it actually is.
None of them are nearly as bad as the one time it was Vasanix text. And that went down the drain real quick. And it was like a logical progression. I was like, these things ain't doing S. And it was like, blah, 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 blah. And it was just like essentially monkey pounding a keyboard.
Yeah, I can tell you've already had a few drinks in you when you allow autocorrect to send pushy over and over and over when I say I can't come out.
Yeah. You big dirty bigger.
Yeah. There's wait, I'll be impressed when AI starts figuring out how to drunk text each other.
Just two robots talking. But speaking of that, what's it called? Over the weekend, 4th of July weekend, I had a ride in a friend's Tesla, and they had FSD. And another thing I noticed today when I was driving and I don't have FSD, it is very easy to start tossing out very negative slurs when you're in traffic. So the question is, will full self-driving help eliminate racism in this country?
No, it won't. The South will never, ever, ever, ever embrace electric vehicles. And even if they did, they'd be able to stare in a car and just be like, I still hate it. I just know they will. I've got family in the South. Some things, sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
I guess if it's that ingrained, but like I find myself being very, very angry, like when I'm in traffic, and I'm like, this mother effer, and I'm like, you know what? If it's a stupid Tesla driving itself, I'm like, I have less to worry about. I have a whole lot less stress in my life. Like, will it help people in the end? Like, and currently, FSD is nowhere close to self-driving. Like, let me tell you that. It will brake check you for no apparent reason. So we're a long way from that.
Yeah, why would you think anything worked? Because they reported it did?
Because since 1996, Elon's been saying we are weeks away from getting FSD.
Is Elon our Netanyahu, even though he's technically not from here?
I mean, he might be. He's a little bit far right, so he has been promising something.
Speaking of about 2 weeks, notice Trump's not saying that anymore. Remember, forever, everything was, I don't know, 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. I'll get back to you.
I mean, Grandpa's getting older and older. Apparently, like, there's been news of, like, some 30-year-old, like, blonde chick around him. We're like, what the hell is, like, is that his chick who's, what's it called, he's having an affair with? Like, that might be his hospice nurse.
I did see that one. they were like 80 years old and he still got it. And somebody chimed in. They're like, yeah, that's not some blonde chick he's nailing. That's a hospice nurse. Yeah.
Like, he can still get it at 90 years old, but as long as you pay them, they'll still show up.
Speaking of hospice, did you see a report today that Trump announced he wrote J.D. Vance a letter, and just in case he dies, which means another fake assassination attempt's coming, by the way. But yeah, evidently he wrote J.D. a letter in case of his untimely death.
He's like, you're a failure. Not as bad as my children, but you're still a failure. And I remember those things you said about me and called me Hitler. You were correct. You eunuch, no ball having failure.
I love you less than my father loved me.
I wanted to beat you like Meemaw used to beat you every time I saw your disgusting face.
I would trade you for a fraction of what Pam Bondi said. All this fentanyl they supposedly stopped that was never produced.
Did you see the thing I sent you on Twitter?
Which one?
It's the latest one. It's J.D. Vance sitting there and relating to the American people, how he no longer waits in TSA lines. He no longer has to go shopping for anything. He's like, I have people cooking meals for me. He's like, you mother effer, my gas is going up in price. Like, I can't afford meat products. He's like, I have people cooking.
Yeah, I did not watch this. I was really hoping to have a cool Friday, but turns out your master plan to piss me off and ruin my weekend starts with that giant turd. I cannot stand him either.
Spoiler alert, that ain't going to be the only time you hear about JD Vance over this weekend.
Why did somebody film him trying to buy donuts like a regular Joe again or something?
Like, I don't know, the ones with the holes in them.
No, the line was whatever makes sense. And I swear I use it at least once a day. I was like, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard. What a moron.
Classic. Well, it's actual Friday. We missed you guys from yesterday because Eric was very accommodating for allowing me to watch a little bit of soccer. So we pushed it today, and today's soccer was actually earlier on before we record. So life is good, but let's kick this thing. And who said it? American citizenship is not for sale. In fact, that is a crime, and therefore the Supreme Court's ruling is wrong. Who said it?
Well, it should be a Democrat. I'm going to say Chuck Schumer.
No, it's technically the Supreme Court ruled that birthright citizenship is still a thing, other than, we'll get more into it, but this was the president, and he was screaming about it, and apparently, you can challenge a Supreme Court ruling.
Yeah, I did see something about that popped up, but, like, it's supposedly, like, you have to go through a ton of hoops that like it hasn't been done in like 60 years or something like that.
Well, we haven't had a felon as a president for 250, so, I feel like the bar's kind of low at 60 years because we're breaking records at 250.
Was this going to be one of those hold my beer things?
Yeah. So, hold my beer while the nukes drop.
Ugh.
Let's kick it off with Tesla. Tesla was at 403 on Tuesday. This is 407 today, and that's because UBS, the bank, thinks they will do great. Literally, that's what they wrote. And in other news, New Jersey's thinking about banning cyber taxis, but, UBS likes it when Elon talks, so they've upgraded the rating, and it's gone up.
Do you think, like, the whoever the guy is that runs UBS, do you think that every time he wrote "Have a great summer" in the yearbooks growing up, like, they all just automatically did because he was hoping they would?
Yeah. I feel more like the Simpsons episode where it's Krusty. He's like, why did you vote for this movie? He's like, because it moved me to a bigger house. Like, they're all taking payouts.
Oh, do I have to look into UBS, and should I be hating them too, even more?
Well, UBS technically helped the Taliban move their money back in the day, along with cartels, but they also run my 401k, so there's only so much I can talk to them about.
I am glad we live in a country where everything that's illegal is only illegal for us.
Baby, it's only a crime when you get caught.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Republicans hate the gays until they get caught being them, which I'm still convinced is got to be in the 90 percentile.
You don't crash Grindr servers because most of you are heterosexual Christian-loving males. Like, I'm sorry, that's not what happens. Like, there's only so many things I'll listen to that you guys blame Antifa for, but Antifa doesn't usually attend those are conventions.
Oh my God. Nobody's ever used that excuse. Like, you know how like when it's a Republican trying to hide from something, like they have their normal bunch of lies. But now with the whole Trump era, people are just like, yeah, I did that, but it's different. How come none of these people have been like, it was my Christian coalition that specifically attempted to go out of our way to crash Grindr to try and save souls? Yeah. Why hasn't anybody used that excuse?
Not yet, but we'll see what happens.
Charlie Kirk's funeral must have... No, never mind. Go ahead.
We've got a lot to get to. Our friends over in Ukraine have been a tad bit busy. What's it called? They had a NATO summit earlier on. Did you catch any of that?
No, I did not.
So, well, yeah, you worked there today. Sometimes I come home and I got a little bit of time when I eat my lunch. But it was there, like, Trump sitting there with Zelensky, and Trump went ahead and granted licenses for Ukraine to make Patriot missiles. And they're both sitting next to each other, and Trump's like, yeah, Zelensky says, like, yeah, but Patriot's missile system, it's the best system out there. And Trump's like, it's the best of the best. And Zelensky's like, yeah, it's the best of the best, man. It's the superest, coolest one. Like, it's essentially talking to a toddler. He's like, I've got the best Ford. Like, you sure do, little Timmy. You sure do. Like, now give me something, I'll save the lives of my people.
Weren't we talking about, isn't the Patriot system about to get replaced by like a much cheaper and
There's a little bit more about that one in a second. But before we get into that one, it's in the same press. Like I kept watching it, and there's only so much Trump that I can take. But I was like, you know what, Zelensky's in there. Let me see this one. And after Zelensky mentions the Patriot systems as number one in USA, Trump's like, yeah, he's like, it's really good. I mean, he's like, also drugs are down to 97% by sea, and we've been taking out all these boats. We've been killing all the boats. I'm like, my dude, you're talking about Patriot systems. Like, this isn't a we. This is incoherent speech.
well, unfortunately, it's gotten to the point now where you just don't, like, I don't even pick up on it half the time. Like every time he opens his mouth, he's going to contradict himself in some terrible way. But it's getting to the point where you hear it so often, you almost don't hear it anymore, like the crying baby thing.
I never got used to that. I never understand how parents can be like, their kids are screaming. I'm like, we don't beat kids anymore? Like, what's going on? Like, that thing should be put in another room. Like, oh, I don't hear anything. Like, I hate it. I don't have that skill. I still hear it all the time.
Well, yeah, that's because you're not hearing it constantly.
I don't have a girlfriend, so we never go to these other people parties where they have kids and everything else like that.
That is true. That is true. But you get to day drink a lot more often than I do, too. So there's a plus side to it.
No, I didn't say it was a bad thing.
Shut up and just let me have it.
Yeah, I didn't dress it up as me not going to places with children was a negative thing in my life. That's actually, we put that in the win column when I look at if I should paint cherry pie on a daily basis.
Yeah, I'm being the Christian this episode. So enjoy hell, single.
Fine by me. It's all where all the cool kids are. But you did mention about the whole system of Patriot being replaced, and yeah, Ukraine was talking about building the Freya system. They said they're going to get it up and running by 2027. So Trump kind of read the writing on the wall, and he allowed Zelensky to start making him, not because he likes Zelensky. I mean, he would still jump for Putin in a heartbeat if he told him to do something. But Raytheon produces the Patriot missile system. Now, right now, that's being used all over the effing world, and it is a steady supply stream. And if the Ukrainians were to make the whole Freya system and speed it up, and necessity's mother of invention, and if they're getting bombed daily, they would only spend time working on that. So they're like, hey, man, why don't you just keep making Patriot missile systems in the meantime? So that's kind of why they just allowed that.
Oh, okay. So so this sounds less of like we're granting him the ability to buy and more of like we are asking him to please use this instead.
We're about to make our own cannon, and you're like, hey man, what about this AR just let you play with? Can you not make your laser guns? He's like, I guess we'll just play with this 5.56 round in the meantime. Like, oh, or cool.
Yeah, maybe Trump's trying to use his logic where he's like, let's just wave something shiny at him for a while and see if he comes over.
You think he's susceptible to a FIFA World Prize? I could get a one for next year.
Let him pick which department he wants to embezzle from.
So, Ukraine has also been a tad bit busy. We got a few things to go. And in the past 4 days, the Russians have lost 40 ships combined in the Black and Azov seas. And around noon today, the count just for the day was around 12. So the Ukrainians got up nice and early and just started drone striking these things. And my feed has been full of it. I love to watch it. And this might be why gas in Russia, the place that produces an S-load, is up 20% for the year and almost about 7% in the month of June. So they've been making a dent.
And that's assuming the pumps aren't locked.
There was one video, and it's these Russian dudes that are like in line, and it's like a big old queue to like the gas station. You don't even see where the pumps are, and it's like two of them get out like suka blaj, and they look up, and like it's a sound of a drone like, and they're like, no, please don't tell me it's going there. And it's like the oil silence, like, man, we're gonna be here a while.
Now, I like to think in that position, between dying by drone or sitting in that line, there's got to be at least a half second of like, I'm okay with this. That John Hamm meme.
It's like you're going out to get hot dogs at the fair and Joe Chestnut cuts in front of you. Like, there's got to be none left. Like, I don't know why I've even here. Like, I've been here for 6 hours, and this mother effer just popped in front of me. Like, I'm so screwed.
Did I send you the Joey Chestnut punishment?
Yes. I think we should do more normal ones. We should do, what's it called? The Bonnie Blue punishment. If we want to recreate what someone does.
What's the Bonnie Blue?
Why don't you go ahead and Google who Bonnie Blue is while I go over the next segment real fast. And one thing we did not get into on Monday is the fact that Ukraine, again, this is going in time even for gas, Ukraine went ahead and hit Russia's largest refinery in Omsk. And it's about 1,700 miles away from the border. And Omsk produces 8% of all of Russia's gas. And half of Russia currently is under gasoline rationing, and Putin has actually stopped exporting diesel. So our prices for diesel are also about to go up. But he's come out and said, he's like, no, it's these are just temporary, and these are not critical, but it's going to get worse. Find out about Bonnie Blue?
Yeah. Now I know what we're doing after rap. Jeez.
Yeah, so you recreate that as a last place finish.
I think I'd rather just eat hot dogs until I get to 75.
There'll be pieces of meat. Don't worry about that.
Lobbed it right over the plate to you.
Like, it's a layup. Speaking of the shortages, again, I mentioned that this is 1,700 miles away, and this is actually the longest strike that Ukraine has done since the war has started, and it was done with a modified FP-1 drone. It carries a 130-pound warhead, and initially when they made it, go ahead, did you jump? Initially when they made this thing, it had a range of 1,000 miles. They went ahead and upgraded it to about 1,600 miles. And then the Ukrainians like, I don't know, man, like strap it to the jet and let's launch it that way. And now they have a range of 2,100 miles. And that's until they find that they can strap it to balloons, jets, and whatever they find at the dollar store.
Yeah, I think Zelensky shot himself in the foot here by deciding to buy from anybody else ever again. Like, he's just making this up off the top of his head. And he's like, well, we have no supplies. And he's like, figure it out. Use duct tape.
Like, honestly, when Firepoint goes public, if that IPO is not the biggest one on this freaking planet, like, I would be amazed. These people are just innovating all kinds of things. And Elon's like, SpaceX is like, well, pictures of space. Like, okay, I can see that at any museum. Like, we're working on getting rid of those pictures.
I hope whatever Zelensky's gets this missile system up. I really hope he starts targeting every Starlink satellite.
See, Starlink is Elon did a whole change on that one. He's allowed Starlink to be used in Ukraine, and one of the things that they ended up doing is the Russians were using it there, and Elon actually worked with the Ukrainians to find out which terminals were used by Russians, and he cut access to them.
I'd still rather have Zelensky have his own satellites.
Well, there's a whole story coming out on that one about how China might be trying to take down Starlink, but currently Starlink is doing good things in Ukraine. Again, that's not to say we're going to come out of this weekend and Elon went into a K-hole and has decided that Zelensky's a fascist, Nazi, and whatever else Putin told him he is. But for now, decent.
All right, never mind. I'll hold. I'll wait.
Just be in a holding pattern. I'm sure he's going to do something to get back into your horrible graces.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that and revisit you next week.
So let's talk about the citizenship. It's kind of what we started out with. It's Trump has now asked the Supreme Court for a hearing on birthright citizenship. And the fact is, this highly partisan Supreme Court went ahead and gave him an L, but they did it in a 6-3 decision. It wasn't a close one, like a lot of people came out. And that's because it pretty plainly says in the 14th Amendment, and it says like, hey man, like birthright citizenship. And for a party that loves to scream about the Second Amendment shall not be infringed, while completely forgetting that it all starts out with a well-regulated militia, like, I don't know, like, I don't get it. Like, how do these, I support this part of the Constitution, but this one sucks.
Well, this one benefits me. And I have no benefit to this one, so let's not let anybody have it.
Like, we are a country of immigrants. It's a freaking melting pot. Unless your last name is Falling Water and you got a freaking feather in your cap, like, you're an immigrant.
Yeah.
Fourth generation, like, you're still an immigrant.
Yeah, no, that's like all of you are. And you know what? This is the perfect time to bring it up, because when the World Cup came around, everybody's all of a sudden, we're British. My family's British. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. So's the guy from Senegal, but all of a sudden, that's a giant issue. It's
So
almost like you could put your finger on what's really bothering you.
back in college when someone came back from a semester abroad and they're like, "Oh yeah, so I've experienced British culture. Like you eat garbage people food now and don't like spices. I get it."
Yeah, you ever get somebody that just got back from Spain and says Ibiza?
Oh, it's
Oh,
even better when they come back from what's it called, Amsterdam, and just try to ride a bicycle on roads that aren't made for bicycle traffic. Like it is completely different infrastructure, my guy. Like you're going to get killed. He's like, no, 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 no. When I was down in Holland, like we rode these things everywhere. I was like, cool. Well, back in America here in Arizona, like you're going to die underneath an F-250.
back in the real world, that's not how things work here.
Like if that sign says kilometers, you're good to go on your bicycle. But as long as it says miles, like you're in danger.
Also, I just got back from my summer abroad in France. Would you like a croissant?
Yeah. Like, oh my god, these wines are nothing compared to what I had done. And I will give it credit. Like wines in France, they don't screw around. They're like €2 and they're banging. But down here, you got to spend decent cash. But again, if you spent one semester abroad, F you. Like that's essentially a layover in an airport. That's not enough.
Yeah, that's just a really good vacation.
Yeah. Come back with a tattoo, like then you can go ahead and preach about it.
Also, France still on my S list until they finally allow Miller High Life to be sent to France in bottles with their current label as the champagne of beers.
Might be on that list for a hot minute because it ain't
Yeah.
happening.
They've been on that list since like the 50s, I think.
Yeah. Got to protect the brand. But going back to pivoting right on back to birthright citizenship from champagne of beers. Because when I first wrote this earlier on, when we were going to have this thing on Thursday, I was like, there's no way, like, the eunuchs down there in Congress are going to be able to challenge it because they said that public opinion on this thing's kind of strong. And lo and behold, freshman House Representative John McGuire from Virginia introduced the Birthright Citizenship Clarification Act to codify President Trump's executive orders seeking to limit birthright citizenship. And he's doing this because Brett Kavanaugh, in his dissenting brief that he wrote, when you have like the Supreme Court brief, you have one part that's a majority and you have dissent written. He essentially laid out, he's like, hey man, if we want to stop this thing, we can do it. It's like, you just got to do it through Congress and we can go around this whole constitutional thing. And now this brand new cuck in office, he's trying to get on daddy's good side and he started his, let's go ahead and clarify the citizenship.
Yeah, and I think to do that through Congress, don't you have to have like 70% or something like that? It's not the normal majority.
I don't know. I did not read much about it. Honestly, it'll be every Republican down the board.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Unless Grandpa does actually kick the bucket, and then I think JD Vance loses everything.
I mean, at that point, Peter Thiel comes back in and flock cameras go in every neighborhood.
I have been noticing a lot of chatter about flock cameras.
Yeah, but
They're like, hey man, if you see someone cutting one down, mind your business.
Yeah. There's been a lot of things of what not to do. Like the last thing you want to do is carry your cell phone with you, any kind of metadata on your watch or anything else, or buy a $50 IR laser that has a little green light that, if shined into a flock camera, would destroy its actual sensors. So don't do that.
Link in bio.
Yeah. If for some reason one of these cameras falls down around you, just remember they can still broadcast their signal for at least 5 hours. So you definitely don't want to put them in a Faraday bag that stops them from transmitting everywhere because that would be illegal.
What happened to good old just throw it off the bridge?
My guy, listen, this country's going to get saved by the Kraken meth heads. They're going to take down the data centers. They're going to be our little Paul Revere's, like riding down into jalopniks. As soon as we have to just tell them about all the copper in there. All the copper that is in flock cameras, data centers, and we put these people to work.
Yeah, I've been banging my fist about the data centers. Let's get them on flock cameras too. We're the job creators.
Let's keep that going. But one thing I did want to mention about this one of the things in the Clarification Act that's in there, go ahead and tell me if this clarifies anything for you, because it would strike down in citizenship of children who have a mother with a lawful temporary presence and a father without citizenship, and other situations that children born on a ship in our waters or children of foreign government officials still born on our land. So this one right here, I keep bringing it back to the fact that the mother's here legally and the dad's without citizenship. Like, well, 50%, that's enough to fail.
Yeah, that makes no sense. And also, like, how do you toss a newborn out of the country when the mother is a citizen?
Have you heard of ICE? You give it to a guy who couldn't make it as a cop or in the military, and you tell him, like, it's time to defend freedom. And he's like, hell yeah, border. And he runs it right up to the border and punts it.
You think he'd rather have a video of a like infant dying in ICE custody? Like, do you think that would change the minds of many of their still supporters?
No. I feel like right now, the people who are still left in there, that's like the fanatics. What was it, Game of Thrones? Like, Khaleesi had those guys, the Unsullied.
The Unsullied.
Yeah, like, these dudes would just cut their wrist for her. Like, it's the same thing with Trump. Again, after 10 hats, that's the point of no return. Like, you're part of a cult.
Fair enough. Just wondering, because you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. And he's gonna scream fake news, and then at a certain point, he's like, yeah, it's not fake news, but that baby deserved it.
He was gonna end up in an insane asylum. I can tell. No one's been able to tell the facial expressions of a child more than me.
But one thing I did want to mention as far as the Supreme Court rules, and again, like I said, I did not think you could go ahead and overturn it, but what you can do is within 25 days of a ruling, you can file something called a petition for rehearing. The rehearings face a very high bar. The court only grants them in highly exceptional circumstances, such as pointing out a major intervening change in the law, not in this case, identifying a critical, factual, or legal point that justice inadvertently overlooked. Not in this case. The court has not granted a petition for rehearing after decided case in roughly 60 years. And I think we started this whole thing off that we haven't had a felon in office in 250 years. So saying, oh no, it hasn't happened in 60 years, really doesn't matter.
Yeah, this thing's going to get ramrodded through, isn't it?
Yeah. They're not even going to try to hide it. Be like, I don't know, we talked to Infantino from FIFA and Trump called us and we overturned that too.
Good God. Birthright citizenship. God. Whoever's in 2028 is going to have so much work to do.
It's going to be Trump. There's going to be no change in that house. Again, you don't build an addition if you plan on leaving. That's all I'm saying.
I guess you're right.
But Donald's not always in a bad mood. Sometimes we want to bring people back into the fold, as President Trump has announced a move to delist Syria, citing efforts by Abed al-Shara to unify the country. So we're going to go ahead and take them off a state sponsor of terrorism list. And unless Syria starts messing up, the eunuchs in Congress vote against it, or Donald wakes up and tacos it again, in 45 days, they actually will be off the list. They've been on that list since about 1979. They provided safe haven to Hezbollah, Palestinian armed groups, and they were allegedly involved in the 1986 attempted bombing of an Israeli airline, El Al. Did you hear about this one?
No. I was 3 years old.
It was called the Hindawi affair because one of the guys there. Well, we'll get into it. And this kind of, I don't know, this just doesn't add up. Israeli security guards at London's Heathrow Airport foiled a bombing attempt on an El Al Boeing 747 headed to Tel Aviv. Security agents discovered 1.5 kilos or 3.5 pounds of Semtex and a timing device of Anne Marie Murphy, an unwitting pregnant Irish woman. She was duped into carrying a bag by her Jordanian boyfriend Nazar Hindawi. And the whole thing that Israeli guards are hanging out in Heathrow, that part kind of stands out to me a little. Like, what are they doing there?
Yeah, do they run that country too?
Yeah, I never saw a TSA agent when I visit, like, Europe. So, like, having someone from another country in Heathrow, like, hey, look, now that we're here, we also found this, like, save the bombing plot.
Yeah, none of this makes sense to me.
So, if you think that doesn't make any sense, did you read anything about Ahmed al-Shara?
No, fill me in.
Let me give you a quick background on this. He was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to a Syrian Sunni Muslim family in the Golan Heights. He grew up in Syria's capital, Damascus. Al-Shara joined al-Qaeda in Iraq shortly before the 2003 invasion of Iraq and fought for 3 years in the Iraqi insurgency. Do you remember who the insurgency was fighting?
Was that wasn't still Saddam, was it?
It was fighting us.
No, from the Iraq. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm an idiot. Continue.
From 2006 to 2011, he was captured and imprisoned by American and Iraqi forces. His release coincided with the Syrian revolutions against the Ba'athist regime of Bashar al-Assad. And in 2012, with the support of Al-Qaeda's Central Command, al-Sharaa founded Jabhat al-Nusra, also known as al-Nusra Front, to topple the Assad regime. So the guy that Trump is actually saying, hey man, you're no longer a sponsor of terrorism, because you were in Al-Qaeda and literally fought against U.S. troops.
Well, in his defense, so did Rambo in the third movie, so...
In my defense, Rambo's not real.
All right, fair. But, yeah, for those of you who don't know, if I've never mentioned it before, while somebody was off protecting our freedom, he sent a bunch of bootleg DVDs to us, like an enormous box. And we ended up watching the third Rocky movie when it's over in Afghanistan. And at the very end of the film, it is dedicated to those proud freedom fighters. I was like, oh, no.
Ooh, that didn't age well. Yeah.
Wait a minute, but why? And then the Republicans told me, don't look into that.
Yeah. So it's, that was actually going to be my plan to get rich when I got out of the military, was start selling these DVDs, because it had all the Rockies on one disc. I'm like, this is effing ingenious. And when I get back to stateside, I'm like, what the F is a LimeWire? I can download these things now?
Yeah, some chick named Heather gave me a virus on that, but we can talk about that later.
So not only did Metallica suffer from Napster, so did I. So I deserve some of that payout money.
Cough it up, Lars.
Yeah. But one thing I got me thinking, I was like, state sponsor of terrorism, like, how many people are on that list? And Syria was the OG on that list back in 1979, and currently there's only 3 of them left. It's Iran, North Korea, and Cuba. Iran becomes the new flag bearer because they were put on there in 1984, because that's a little born-on date, but the other 2 have something in common. Cuba was put on there in 1982 and North Korea in 88, but both of them were taken off the list in 2015 and 2008, respectively. And what did both those time periods have in common?
It was that Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah, so our little Muslim went ahead and took those 2 off. So at a certain point, we only had 2 states that were sponsors of terrorism. And technically, right now, we would only have 1. If Trump didn't put him back on, North Korea in 2017 and 2021 in Cuba. Like, we shrunk down our terrorism list to 2 nations. But the guy who started the Department of War and says, I need 1.5 trillion from the military, doubled the number of terrorism-sponsored, nations.
How long till he starts adding states?
Well, I mean, right now we have Antifa. The Antifa state will be used to pretty much lock anyone up domestically.
Yeah, this, I don't know. It was almost like we were heading to more peaceful waters.
Yeah.
And then something happened in 2016.
We were doing so well for a while. Like, hey man, we're getting ready to pull our troops out of places. Like, not too many people hate us nearly as much as they used to. It's like, no, we need more we need more angry states.
We need more enemies.
So, but the Supreme Leader finished up a NATO summit, and most of the reports were actually pretty good. But I think that's only because of the fact that we're used to our guys just throwing things at walls and temper tantrums. But the one downside is that jet that we spent $400 million on retrofitting, he didn't take that one back. Like, instead of taking Grift Force 1, he went ahead and flew back on a Boeing that we've been using for the past 35 years. He stopped by England and then went off to the States. And my question is, did we spend $400 million on gold toilets instead of countermeasures?
1, definitely. 1,000%. 2, so I looked into this a little bit, and the reason they gave was our friend overseas, Israel, gave us intel that Iran was planning to assassinate Trump, and out of fear, he decided not to take the Qatari bride plane, but Old Faithful instead.
Well, that's like, if you were a black dude, that's like me telling you the Ku Klux Klan hates you. Like, I hate to break it to you, Iran's always trying to kill you. And you should know that when you're refitting this stupid jet and spending $400 million on it. Like, before we get the bidet put in, maybe put the flare system in. Be like, hey, man, why don't we harden the cockpit and make it resistant to things? Like, no, I want art.
Come on, he doesn't even use a bidet anymore now that he's got that nurse changing him.
She's in love with him. Like, well, he's definitely an upgrade from Laura Loomer. I'll give him that.
I can't wait to see what surgery he makes her get.
You think it's like, what, 6 months before she gets bloated lips and a weird looking face?
Now make it look like it's 9 years old.
Younger.
Weirder, different species, or
just have them look like it's from another planet. Like, when I talk about releasing alien files, I want to be able to use your face.
Make her gray. Microsoft announced layoffs for 4,800 people, including 1,600 from their Xbox division this week. According to a quick Google search, Microsoft reported a meager operating income of $128 billion in 2025, with gross profit jumping up 13% to $193 billion. So thank God these humble elites have all those tax breaks to fall back on now. Now, I understand that business, sometimes cutbacks are inevitable, but when you're raking in this kind of scratch, layoffs just seem kind of cruel and BS, right? Like, how do you justify this?
Where's my trickle down? I was like, you guys got 13%. Can I get one?
Yeah. But consumers, Xbox people, don't get worried about hiccups, because right before these layoffs got announced, Microsoft got approved to bring in 2,300 H-1B visas. So they're not greedy they're not greedy monsters. They're just anti-American.
Jesus. I thought we were replacing all our domestic people with domestic robot computers.
I thought we were shutting down our borders and making things America first.
You know, as long as that crypto clears, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. Call me a socialist, but I do feel like if your company profits over $1 billion a year, you shouldn't be laying anybody off.
Again, that's another thing where they can get sued if they don't do everything in their power to maximize shareholder value. And that's something that's completely wrong about the stock market.
I feel like you can still make laws to counterbalance that.
I don't feel like we will, because all we care about
I agree. We won't, but I feel like there's a way to word it that makes it okay.
Well, when Mamdanistan expands to more than New York City, we might have a fighting chance.
Quick pivot on, no, you know what? Pin in that. Bring up Mamdani again. Over the past decade or so, this nation has reached a weird crossroads where evil meets incompetence, and nobody drives that point harder than Mark Zuckerberg. Cheyenne, Wyoming has traced a microbial contamination of, bear with me, Cupravidus gilardi, a bacterium, to the metadata center they have there right at the Wyoming side of the Colorado border. The contaminated water from a pump and dump of the data center's cooling system, where they pump out contaminated water and replace it with your drinking water. So you can continue to verify what happens to your favorite creepy celebrity impregnates your cat. The contaminated wastewater did not make it into the city's drinking water reservoir, but was used to water crops, sending the bacterium airborne. So love that for us.
You know what? It sounds like that bacterium wears like a monocle, like Cupravidus gilardi. Like, at least it's a fancy one, but the fact that Zuckerberg chose Hawaii to build his actual thing, he's like, I don't care what happens stateside. He's like, I've got a whole water filtration thing here.
Yeah, this is not good. And from what I've read, it seems like if you look on the more conservative sites, this is only affects people with autoimmune disease. While if you look on the more liberal sites, this is definitely deadly in certain cases. So honestly, reading it kind of gave me that COVID vibes.
Well, you know, herd immunity and such, and this is something that we just need to go ahead and drink more of, because Mark cares about us. That's why he lives on an island away from Wyoming.
Yeah, Jesus didn't need to wear a mask, so I'm gonna put my faith in the Lord.
What's the one that's God, hold on. It's
Mac.
Yeah, it's the one guy posting up is like, if masks were necessary for our survival as a species, we would have evolved by now. We haven't. We have noses and mouths. We have airways. It's not natural for people to go around with a face mask when they're on in their general life. And no amount of government propaganda can change that. And the one response below it is like, it was a guy named Neil who wrote. He's like, Neil, do you wear shoes?
The funniest part was that his Twitter profile, whenever that got posted, he's wearing glasses.
Yeah. Time to evolve, nerd.
I hate people. So, just to sum it all up, data centers are the devil, and we just had the 35th anniversary of Terminator 2, which again tells us all AI will eventually turn on us and kill us. So, to all my meth heads out there, don't forget, data centers are also understaffed and filled with precious metals.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't hold AI responsible for our future shortcomings. I think it's going to be the billionaires who run these things that are going to be responsible for us.
Yeah, but they're the ones in controlling the data centers, and that's their new favorite toy this year.
Again, it's kind of like the same thing. If you get shot at by a gun, but it's wielded by a crazy person, what killed you? It wasn't just the gun itself. It was a crazy person shooting you. So when Mark Zuckerberg poisons your water, I'm not gonna blame the data center runoff. I'm blaming Zucky.
Yeah, I guess all right. No, I'll concede. That's a good way to do it. Pinata economics. We start with Zuck.
Kill them all
this week.
Mamdani.
Oh yeah, I saw something about Mamdani. Somebody brought up this weird law where any kind, like, there's a reason an airport can't charge you $20 for a bottle of water. Like, they can only charge up to like 4 or 5.
Well, that sounds like communism.
Well, so it's this weird law where any federally, any building or business that has any sort of federal funding has to provide some sort of concession for you to, buy whatever. But they can't go over a certain threshold of over 100% of whatever their net cost was or something. It's some weird law that nobody pays attention to.
Limiting profits is what you're telling me.
Correct.
Don't like it.
Or if it's our side, lowering costs for God-fearing Americans. So this guy's like brought up this law. So I'm watching this video and this guy brought up this law and he was like, it's weird how it's written, but technically they're not supposed to charge over whatever the percentage was. And he stops and he goes, this is what Mamdani can do. He said, if you make hot dogs $3 at a Knicks game, it's going to force every other stadium to do it. He said people are going to riot when they find out why.
If he makes them $3 at a Knicks game, and essentially at that point, they're just going to give him lifetime. Like, we're not even having elections anymore. Like, this guy, is bringing us everything.
Yeah, just make him the king. Put it on Time Life, King of New York, and it's Mamdani. Watch how fast Trump nukes New York.
He's like, I no longer hate the Ukrainians nearly as much as I hate New York City.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I moved to Florida for the education.
Jeez. Why is he doing so many amazing... Well, obviously not Trump, but Mamdani. Like, he's killing it out there.
Dude, people are furious. Or Democrats currently in power are furious. He's the guy who shows up to work and he's like, oh, no, I figured it out. I did this job in like 20 minutes. And everybody's like, shut up.
We did not talk about Graham Plattner.
Save Graham for Tuesday. I want to see if they actually come up with their Patrick Dempsey thing.
I mean, he suspended his campaign.
No, I know he did, but as far as who they're replacing him with,
it's gonna be some central casting muppet.
Dude, the Patrick Dempsey's getting pushed around.
Really?
Yeah, McDreamy.
All right, well, yeah, you know what? We'll save that one for Tuesday.
That's what I'm saying. I'm hoping we have the story by Tuesday.
Yeah, all right, well, I'm going to go back to responding to a bunch of people on YouTube with, I don't know, whatever I do on there. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. I'm Alex Medway.
Why don't you take a Xanax and then start typing like you did to me?
Like, so we're now banned from there for racial words.
like pushy, rah, 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 rah. Like, I couldn't decipher that one.
I had a couple of knocks on my front door the other day.
Yeah.
Just
all right.
I kept uploading the Anarchist Cookbook for some reason.
Yeah. The things you do on Downers. I'm Eric Halsey. Have a great weekend, guys. Later, Gators.